Today we are going to be talking about Suna's topic, why visual planning is for your Instagram is important. So to start off with, let's talk about the basics. Instagram can be tricky. It is a powerful tool and it is a great app for viewing all sorts of captivating content. Not only is it a visual platform that is used by the masses, but it can be a powerful extension of your brand in the digital space. But getting started is not always that simple. There's tons of photo editing programs out there, which they are great for making the tweaks and small or large edits to your photos to make them as captivating as possible, but maybe not the most easy to view your 9-grid layout on your feed. As well as each brand has their optimal post time, and that can be confusing to figure out when is optimal for your brand or for your viewers. And there's a ton of apps to kind of help you figure out that schedule, but some of them aren't as friendly to posts on Instagram. And then if you can break through these hurdles, they'll help you and your company engage and retain your viewers and get people excited to explore your feed. To get started, here's some questions that you can ask. 1, how do I want to define my brand? Do you want to think about it in terms of color? What is your color palette? What are the 2 or 3 main colors that you use to define what your brand is? Next, you can think about kind of content that you want to post. Is your brand more beauty focused and you want to have lifestyle photos? Are you wanting to be more product centric in your photos? Having that apply to how you want to lay it out so that way you can engage your viewers in that aspect. Oops. And another thing could be about patterns. Do you have a filter that you like to use? Is there a consistent type of pattern you want to use to post on Instagram, whether it be alternating in verbal kind of posts and then alternating with visual? You can kind of use that to try to help you define and refine what your palette's going to look like. Next question is when. When do you want to post? There's a lot of brands that will think, oh, I can engage followers by being spontaneous and always kind of keep them on their toes. But spontaneity does not always equal engagement. We found that consistency is key. Every brand has a different type of follower base. And so those followers will have an optimal time that they are all on the feed to engage with your posts. So figuring out that timing is very important. And third question is, what can I do to engage followers? Not only do you have captivating content, but you can also utilize captions, making fire captions that will draw viewers in to read more about your posts. Adding stickers on your Instagram story can always engage people, giving them that visual like sprinkles on your content. And then links. You can link your website or your product on the post or even on your stories, and that will redirect your viewers from your feed to your website. And then once you have all those questions answered, here comes the fun part. You can break out into your creative mode. Get inspired. What brands do you like? What draws you in about them? What are some key aspects that you want to try to learn from them and apply to your own brand? Pinterest is also a powerful app that lets you see all sorts of content. But you can pin and figure out which type of things that you like to see and how you want to apply that to your brand. And then you can put together a mood board and then for the content that you want to plan to make. And then you get to make the content. You can go to a photographer, you can go to a videographer, or you can come to us. Suna, we can be your content BFF and create all the content of your dreams. And then once your visuals are ready and made, get to posting. So the question is, why is it so important? Visual planning is really important for your brand because 1, it benefits you. Your brand can utilize this planning in order to create a roadmap in how you want to display yourself. Viewers are always drawn to unique brands, and brands always want to try to elevate themselves above the rest. So by planning it, you can always put yourself ahead of the game. It delights your viewers. You always have some sort of captivating content to use, whether it's your lifestyles, whether it's your product photos, and your viewers will always want to see what you have to offer. So when they know when you're going to post and they know what kind of content you post, they're always drawn in and they want to see more. Plus, it makes work fun. You don't want to sit around in an office all day just to write down like, maybe I can do this, or maybe I can write that. when you plan your visuals, you have all created and on your computer, and you get to play with it like it is a puzzle that you get to put together. And here are some helpful tools that we use to help kind of figure out what you want to use for your brand. Adobe Color is great. You can take either your primary color in your brand or even a grouping of colors, and you can plug it in and it'll create this palette that works complementary with your colors. Tailwind is also a powerful tool. It allows you to, one, preview your 9-grid tool, your 9-grid posts on your feed, and then it lets you automate and schedule your posts. Smart Schedule allows you to visualize when your feed has optimal times to post and based on your followers. And then you can use that in tandem with Tailwind to schedule your posts. Plus, Instagram has a lot of these basic tools built in using the business profile that'll help you as well that you can utilize. And then there's always us at Suna that could be your content BFF. Is there any questions before I move into the last slide? Let me write in the chat too. New to Instagram and Pinterest, they have, like, getting started on Instagram is always fun. Instagram has like the very basic run through of what you can use for getting your brand started. They'll always ask you at the beginning, do you want to create a business profile? And that unlocks the tools that you can utilize for your brand. But thankfully, Instagram is very user-friendly. Getting started is always a breeze. And then when you want to post content onto your feed, it kind of gives you the walk-by-walk step. And then Pinterest is also the same. What I really like about it is when you get started on it, you kind of create your profile. It asks you what kind of content you like to see, and it filters down the billions and billions of imagery that it has on its site, and then filters it down to the type of content that you want to see. How many photos should I have ready to go when I'm starting a new Instagram page? I know that the preview is always typically in a 9-photo format, but I actually recommend doing at least double. So having 18 photos to start gives you that preliminary basis to go off with, whether you want to start posting one at a time or a chunk of 3. And what I mean by the 9-grid format, Instagram typically, when you open up a feed, it has this 3x3 grid that you can see a square of photos. And so a lot of viewers, when they go on Instagram, if they come across a photo that they'll see, they can go to whoever brand that is, open it up, and you see a feed, and that's the first thing that they'll see is those 9 photos. Is it best to connect Facebook and Instagram? That's all kind of depending on personal preference. Some brands only establish themselves using Instagram as their social media feed, and some have both Instagram and Facebook. If you're trying to connect a personal Facebook to an Instagram account, I wouldn't recommend connecting your personal to your business. It's always fine to connect Facebook if it's personal with your own personal Instagram or your brand's Facebook and Instagram. But make sure that they kind of connect between the two. For GIFs, it's kind of tricky. Instagram doesn't actually allow you to post the GIF file onto your feed, but you can post the video format of it, and it's always engaging. Using it, whether it's in your story or if it's in your feed, when people come by it, having that movement is the first thing that will freeze a person and be like, oh, what am I looking at? This is cool. I have to look more into it. So I highly recommend GIFs. Any other questions? I think I see typing. Do you recommend 9-grid utilize brand colors? If so, how? So I would say that if you want to showcase your brand as a very colorful type of brand brand, then yes, I would recommend utilizing those colors in your 9 grid. Whether it's alternating colors or creating a pattern, or even using it here and there, like making sure that those are the primary colors you use on your grid is powerful for drawing in your audience. And there's multiple methods in how you can do so. There are some practices where it is one row is one color, then following the next row is another color. Some people do it by the 9 photos in one chunk is one photo and they alternate, or they even alternate one post at a time. So you can utilize it based on what draws your eye in, and then utilize that to establish how you want to show yourself to your viewers. How do you determine when it's best time to post to your audience? So you can utilize Smart Schedule, and you just plug in your Instagram feed, and it'll tell you, it uses its system to tell you when it sees the most engagement from your followers. And by engagement, it's whether people are looking at your photos, hearting it, going to your profile page, clicking on the links that you entail. You can also have that tool built into Instagram. If you use the business profile, there's a tool in your settings that will allow you to see when is your optimal time for posting. This applies not only to time to post, but also your Instagram stories as well. And the timing about it is, again, different for all brands. Some people have engagement more in the morning, some people in the afternoon, and there are a couple of people who also have it most optimal at night. So I think I can take 2 or 3 more questions. How should we gauge followers versus who has engaged with stories or posts? What is a good percentage? Where should brands find inspo? Okay, so for the first question, how should we gauge followers versus who has engaged with stories? So with the business tool on Instagram, and even I think with the basic profile, it allows you to see on your stories, if you scroll up, who's been engaging with your post. And if you have people who are loyal followers, you'll see that they, 1, view the story for its entirety, or 2, are consistent in when they view your stories. I believe you can also track using those tools what the percentage of who is your followers and who are just one-off viewers on your content. In terms of percentage, when you're starting off, you might see it kind of range or kind of fluctuate up and down, but there's no really set percentage that is good. Hopefully, the higher percentage hopefully your percentage of loyal followers do grow though as you establish yourself. The next question is, where should brands find inspo? All sorts of places. One, again, Instagram has a lot of content you can view from other brands, Pinterest, but you can also, selfishly speaking, Suna has a whole slew of inspo images that you can view from, and you can always check out new content that we're creating, all sorts of trends that we're setting, and all the visuals that we create for different brands. When should you recheck and readjust when to post? So I usually would say gauging it about twice a month, because the market always fluctuates and how people view things will always change based on the seasons, but making sure that you're consistent when you're checking, because change is always going to happen. So you want to make sure that you can chime in and keep track of when your optimal post time is happening. When should I start posting for holiday? When you start thinking you should post for holiday, it's already not too late. So always be on top of the game. You should start creating content for the holiday ahead of time, because you want to always have that in your back pocket. I usually say that at least 2 weeks before the season or the holiday hits, start to posting, because people are going to be in the mood. Right now, it's big that people are like, oh, I'm in the pumpkin spice mode, but people are already starting to think about Christmas. So making sure that you are ahead of the game and thinking about what you want for your holiday content is key. What is your opinion on evergreen posts? So there are some things, having evergreen content that you can always utilize to reset or regather your followers is always something that's helpful. So depending on how you establish yourself as a brand, it can kind of be iffy that sometimes people can view it and be, oh, I already saw this. Why are they reposting it again? It can be misconstrued as low on ideas, or it can be a good reset button.